And this is Chelsea. Today I want to ask you, Chelsea, what drew you to work at Lethbridge College? Was there a particular job or reason that you wanted to work at the school?
Well, I took the multimedia program and I loved all the programs, and I was intrigued just by teaching my classmates at the time and helping people learn. And the opportunity came up when Tanya went on mat leave. So then I got a temporary position there for a bit, and then when it opened up again, jumped on it.
It's definitely a really exciting career to be a part of this college, for sure. Is there any particular interests outside of work that you enjoy?
I like to stay active, so I'm kind of, it's nice to mix up the computer nerd with being
Absolutely.
Active and fit. I play a lot of sports. I actually injured my knee this year playing tackle football.
Sounds pretty violent.
Yeah.
What was that experience like, having to go through, you had mentioned before, knee surgery for that? Like, what is that like for people who don't typically have to deal with that on a regular basis?
Yeah, it's been a hard year. It's frustrating. A lot of people would say, "Oh, I'm jealous. You get time off. Yeah, you don't have to work or whatever." But being at home and not being able to walk or move the days are really long.
Yeah.
So
Especially there's like only the elevator that's super slow.
yeah. So because I injured myself in May, so dealing with that, and then the surgery when I started here, so it's kind of recuperating again once I had already healed a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Absolutely. Do you believe that, so you mentioned tackle football.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of drew you to that sport? Like what was the part about it that you found most interesting or exciting?
Tackling people.
Tackling people. What position did you play?
Played running back and defensive back.
And,
or not running back.
And how often would you guys practice? Like, would it be like once a week or a couple times?
We practiced three times a week for 3 hours. And so it was Monday, Wednesdays for practice, and then Saturdays that we didn't have games or practices.
Now, one thing that I found really interesting, especially about your office, is that you have this particular spider in the background. His name's Freddie, I believe.
Yeah.
And what's the story behind Freddie? Why does he exist in the office?
I got Freddie in 2005 for a Valentine's Day gift.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and so I just had brought him everywhere with me, and once I started working in the industry, it's like, oh well, I have an office, I could decorate with my spider.
Why not? What would you say is your favorite time of year?
Winter, because I really like winter sports. I've always played hockey and I like snowboarding.
And heard that you tend to like Halloween costumes.
Yes.
Is there a particular story behind that? Like, is there any like memorable Halloweens?
I like scaring people. I like freaking people out, and it's just, I guess, kind of part of my personality that people don't see every day, where I can actually just like be weird.
Is there any particular costumes that are like your favorite, like you love dressing up as this one costume, or do you change it up every year?
I change it up every year. Last year I really liked my clown costume. I put on a bald cap, and then I made my own prosthetics to go across my eyes for like X's, so no one could see my eyes.
Wow.
And I just like seeing people's reactions when they can't make that human contact with seeing eyes. It's like freaks people
The
out.
uncanny valley of like,
Yeah.
it's human but it's not human.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how hard is it to do like prosthetics? Like I've seen them in Hollywood movies all the time, but I don't really know the process of like what goes into them. Like, what do you have to do?
What I did with mine was I just used liquid latex, and I just kind of painted on a piece of plastic, and then I peeled it off and glued it to my face. But I've been looking at other ways of doing things and making my own masks, and that's a longer process, making the molds and buying materials like silicone and stuff, which
Yeah.
I'd like to get into. But
Did you ever consider doing that as a career option? You know, going to like Hollywood makeup artists and costumes?
I've thought about continuing my schooling in that specifically. I just, right now, probably not. not, but I'd like to do it on my own first and then do some schooling with that.
It definitely seems like a really interesting field. Like I watched, there was a couple reality shows where they have people come up and talk about, and they show off their skills with like makeup artists and stuff like that. Is there anything that that you like to do outside of work, outside of your regular hobbies? Just watch TV, movies. Do you have a favorite movie? Or like, what kind of movies do you like to watch? Do you watch like romantic comedies? Like I tend to like Kate and Leopold every once in a while. It's kind of a funny movie. But you know, the odd action movie.
I think my favorite genre is horror.
Oh, of course, of course.
I like, my boyfriend is not a big fan of horror. He has to be in the right mindset to be scared. So I don't watch them all the time with him. I'll sit in the dark and just watch them.
So, what was the one movie that like scared him the most that you've shown him?
I don't know.
That's okay. Like, do you have a particular favorite horror movie that you like to watch?
The new horror movies, I really liked Insidious.
Ah, yes. That's
Because it was scary, but I also liked the story behind it. It was just kind of that dream world.
yeah. And then Paranormal Activity.
I think that's more funny.
Fair enough. Absolutely. Yeah, there's been a lot of, especially lower budget horror movies that have come into like resurgence lately. I personally like the Saw movies. I think they're okay. They get a little crazy, but
Yeah.
otherwise they're pretty fun. So with regards to all of that, is there anything that with your family, like how many people are in your family?
I have 3 brothers and 1 sister.
Okay. And do they live in Lethbridge or do they live in some other communities?
They live throughout Alberta and BC.
Because you're originally from Lethbridge, right? Or just...
Outside of Lethbridge in Bow Island.
Oh, okay. What was it like to live there?
Well, I lived 30 minutes south of Bow Island on a farm, so there was no human contact for 30
And I can
minutes.
see that's where your love of scaring people come from.
Yeah.
How can I scare the people the most?
And also because when I was a kid, my grandpa would always say, you can rent one rated R movie, but don't tell your mom. How it's before.
That's great. That's awesome. So you would watch a lot of horror movies in your spare time, out of the acreage and stuff like that? Was there any like local legends that were really scary or interesting?
I don't think so, but there's like a lot of old sheds or rundown houses or anything, so just once in a while, just go check those out. And there was an old farmhouse in my yard, which was actually the house that my grandpa was born in.
Wow.
And going into that was just like, it was bird crap up like a foot
Yeah.
high. But it was just kind of interesting, just thinking of what the history that could be in there.
So where did your family originally come from? Like, being Canadian, but a lot of Canadians come from all over the place. Is there any particular background or lineage?
Yeah, both sides of my parents were from Germany.
Germany, okay. And that was probably right before World War I or World War II, or?
Yeah, it was before that. All of my grandparents were born in Canada.
Okay, cool stuff. Is there a place in Canada that you'd like to visit or have you already visited and you'd love to go to?
I would like, my ideal visiting of Canada would be to drive across Canada and make a few stops and end up in Nova Scotia for a bit.
Wow.
And then drive back.
Yeah, that's definitely a very exciting like bucket list thing for me as well. What's your favorite part about living in Lethbridge?
It's close to a lot of things. It's close to the mountains.
It's not in the middle of nowhere.
Yes,
Well, more or less.
in the big scheme of things, kind of, but not really yet. Close to the mountains, close to Montana, it's just close to a lot of things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, for sure. And I guess final question to wrap us up here is, do you have any words of wisdom for anyone who is getting into wanting to work for Lethbridge College? What would you recommend if a person was interested in coming?
I think it's important just to be yourself. Just the community that's here is really supportive, but showing that you can do the job and think on the spot and stuff, and having a solid resume, having your education.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chelsea.
You're welcome.